Gossip Girl follows a gossipy, dramatic, jumping from toxic relationship to toxic relationship character named Dan, and also other characters from the Upper East Side. I have to admit, I kind of loved the first season. It was like reality TV, but scripted for perfect drama. Plus, Gossip Girl was sort of the perfect story device to put the characters in situations you want them to be in for even more drama. And since I started rewatching Gossip Girl anyway, I decided to read the first book and see how it compares. And what I found out shocked me to my very core. Nah, it wasn't that dramatic, but I was surprised that the first book only covered the first episode plus Vanessa. Literally, the book ends with Dan picking up Jenny, which is the end of the first episode, which is fine by me because it made it way easier to find clips for this video. And honestly, there still is a lot to unpack as the characters and their dynamics really are quite different, especially Serena. Serena really is different. In the show, Serena's come back from boarding school, reformed and transformed. She is a new woman. She ate, she loved, she prayed. Her situation has changed and she doesn't want to be the girl she was when she left, partying every day that ends with a Y. She wants to reform her bonds with her friends, but under new conditions. No, forget all that. Serena in the books just came back from partying across Europe, and the first thing she wants to do when she's reunited with her friends is go drinking and partying on a Tuesday. I think a big part of the lack of change is Eric, who in the show is her younger brother that's going through a hard time and is the reason she came back. In the book, Eric is her older brother who is a frat dude and has maybe 3 lines in the book. Motivational 3 lines to be fair, but 3 lines. The reason she came back was because she got kicked out of boarding school. With Serena back, she wants to slot back into her old life as it was, but she finds herself in a really weird middle ground. Everyone worships her and wants to be seen with her, but no one actually sees her. She's more like a celebrity. She is that girl. I mean, she literally goes to an art gallery and the artist sees her and decides to turn her into the billboard to promote his exhibition. An event, mind you, that included famous celebrities like Kate Moss, which is absolutely ridiculous, but it completely sells the point I'm making. In the show, she gives more like rich but girl next door vibes. Like, don't get me wrong, Blake Lively is gorgeous, but the difference is Serena is still humanized. We can see the difference in these 2 clips side by side.
You know, she's actually nice. And if she did know you, I think she'd really like you.
She couldn't believe she was having such a ridiculously normal conversation with Serena Vanderwoodson. Jenny admires her, but she still sees her as a person. She can acknowledge her personality. But on the other hand, in the book, Vanessa's surprised that someone like Serena can even hold a normal conversation. Surprised she's not a goddess above it all. But genuinely, despite being that girl, Serena's bullied. Like, not to her face, but behind her back. She's less of an it girl and more of the gossiped girl. Get it? Gossiped girl? Okay, no, terrible joke, moving on. No one knows why she got kicked out of school, and based on her previous behavior, it becomes an increasingly obsessed gossip mill that goes to crazy proportions, but everyone still believes. She threw orgies, ran a drug cartel, had a baby named Lucius in France, and joined a cult. She got kicked out because she overslept. She missed the first day because she was hungover. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not the greatest of looks, and it's still kind of a party animal move, but it's far from creating a sex orgy drug cult. Aside from the partying, I think her reputation also comes from the fact that there is not a single person in this world with a penis who does not want to have sex with this teenager. No joke, every guy in her vicinity wants to fuck her. Chuck kisses her and tries to sleep with her. Nate comes over to have sex with her but gets turned off because he thinks she's too easy, and Dan is literally stalking her. Even the gay artists are slapping her on the ass. The genuine theme of her story arc in the first book is kind of sad. It isn't even a love story. Serena just wants a friend. Well, that, and she also begins to realize she's falling behind in life because of all the partying and decides she needs to pull her shit together and find something she loves, while also continuing to party and drink. But when she first meets Dan in the show, they go on a date that was her idea, and she outright called it a date.
But you asked me out on a date and you didn't think I was nice?
No, just thought you were hot.
In the books, when she thinks of Dan, she wonders if she could be his friend. There's no romantic interest in him whatsoever. She has no idea that this man has been stalking her for years. No, seriously, no joke. What is it about this man's face that makes Hollywood want to cast him as stalkers? I saw him pick up Serena's phone and I got PTSD flashbacks. In the book, Dan threw a party when he saw Serena. Didn't talk to her but saw her from across the room. And then proceeded to have his sister Jenny report on where she is and when, so he can arrange a meet cute. This might be acceptable if you did it once or maybe for like a week, but this went on for years. At least 2, I think more. And he never spoke to her. He never spoke to her. They only finally met because of Vanessa. Poor Vanessa. Imagine you fancy a boy and you accidentally wingman him with his crush, not once, but twice. Let me explain. Firstly, in the books, Vanessa is a little different, and not only because she has a shaved head. Actually, now that I think about it, she kind of reminds me of Marianne from You. Shaved head, artist vibes. That's basically what we're going for here. Either way, she goes to the same school as the girls, so she knows Blair and Serena. This is important to explain the two situations. First time she's doing auditions for a school film project, and Serena shows up to audition for one of the parts, as part of her discover myself outside of partying journey. And she does a scene with Dan. The second time, Vanessa invites Serena out to a party because she feels bad for her. Because Serena has no friends, so she invites her to her sister's concert and Dan shows up unexpectedly. She then has to watch them dance together and leave together. To be clear, unlike in the show, Dan does not have feelings for Vanessa and doesn't know about hers for him. But damn, that had to hurt Vanessa. That's crazy. That hurt me. But honestly, Dan is pretty irrelevant to the story so far. He barely speaks to Serena. Even in the cab to pick up his sister, he's like they sat in silence. I mean, he romanticizes it being like we didn't even need to talk, but why are you sitting in silence? This is your shot. Shoot it. Either way, the book is mostly about Serena and Blair. And honestly, I feel bad for Serena. She's being punished for being cool and hot. I relate. That is not fair. Because what she should be punished for is fucking her best friend's boyfriend. And as bad as it is in the show, honestly, I think the book is worse. We don't get to see it from Serena's perspective because it's told from Nate's, but Nate does invite her to hang out while Blair is out of town. And as soon as Serena sees him, she starts to kiss him. And then they spend the day together and Serena gets into their family fountain and starts undressing. I'm not condoning it, but in the show, they presented it more as like a drunken mistake in a moment of passion. The book gave me more the vibe that Serena was just looking for an excuse and constantly doing little things to seduce him. Plus, they spend the whole day banging it out, so post-nut clarity didn't even help. And in the show, Serena at least had the humanity to feel bad about it. She should have told Blair, but at least she felt some level of guilt. And she does reject Nate when he comes to her.
No.
But you're back now.
I didn't come back for you.
In the book, there is no awkwardness or guilt. As soon as she sees Nate, she's throwing her arms around him and giving him little coded inside messages to remind him they had sex. It's like inside joke, remember the Red Sea? Which is code for, do you remember when you blew my back out? Crazy work. She is in love with Nate in the book though. Like, it is outright said. Not out loud, but in the privacy of her thoughts, it is confirmed. And it is actually Nate who rejects her, as I mentioned earlier. I mean, after his breakup with Blair, he goes to Serena and finds her drunk, and when she says come sleep with me, he isn't sure if she meant sex or cuddles. Personally, I think she meant cuddles because it was after the whole Chuck thing. It'd be insane to spend a day with Chuck and then still want to have sex. But got the ick because he started to believe the gossips and think she's a whore. But back to my original point. Serena is alienated, and honestly, Blair has a lot to do about that, but not everything. She is keeping Serena at a distance from herself, but she isn't really influencing others to do the same like in the show. People are choosing to not be friends with Serena. I mean, as I mentioned, Blair should alienate Serena for sure. She fucked your boyfriend. But weirdly, she's not doing it for the right reasons. She's breaking ties with Serena as she's making her feel bad by comparison. Plus, she also kind of awakened bisexual feelings that she didn't really want to confront. Blair kissed Serena before Serena went to boarding school. But there is also a significant change that the show made to Blair's relationship with Serena. In the book, Blair is already rejecting Serena before she found out she slept with her boyfriend, and is honestly more upset at Nate than Serena. She breaks up with him until he comes crawling back. In the show, she is upset at Serena for leaving, but when Serena comes open heart asking to be reunited, she does accept Serena back. And then she finds out about the sex betrayal and the queen bee battle begins. The same scene in the book at the bar is played as Blair being bored and yawning in her face before leaving her. She just wants to get to Nate. To be honest, this whole bar thing is kind of inconvenient to her. Honestly, a lot of the book is just Serena begging Blair to be her friend. Which, the fucking audacity, you fucked her boyfriend. No, genuinely, Blair is the focus of like the first 20% of the book. So when Serena comes in, it really does feel like she is the antagonist to Blair's story. We learn about Blair's personality, her boyfriends, her insecurities, her family problems. If I hadn't seen the show, I would have assumed she's the main character. Especially since Blair in the book is obsessed with turning her life into a movie where she's the main character. More specifically, a rom-com. It has to be perfect and it has to be on script. She was always coming up with plot devices for the movie she was starring in at the moment, the movie of her life. Blair is not really the powerful queen bee she is in the show. Her plots of revenge are really petty, sometimes funnily so. Like, you don't understand. Her first big plan in the book is her mum is annoying her. So what she's gonna do, right? What she's gonna do is she's going to buy a hot dog and burp dog breath in her mum's face. That is a 4-year-old's definition of evil. I mean, she still is popular and scared of becoming Serena's shadow again, but they don't really do the power plays. The confrontations between Blair and Serena in the show are much more direct. They understand the power position of Queen Bee and they call each other out. For example, at the bar, Serena's like, I don't want to take it away from you.
I don't want to take any of that away from you.
Because it's just yours to take if you want it.
Or actually, the perfect example of this is the invitations to the party, book versus show. In the show,
Saturday. And you're kind of not invited.
it isn't a direct fuck off, but the message is clear and Serena got it. In the books, Blair just gives Jenny the wrong address. My general point is that while I don't have a lot of experience with mean girls in real life, I have to imagine it's more like book Blair than show Blair, doing sneaky little things rather than directly telling you to fuck off. But I might be wrong. But let's move on to her relationship with Nate. I really briefly touched upon their relationship earlier, but there is actually a small but crucial detail that the show changed. In the show, Blair tries to have sex with Nate after finding out Serena's back. In the book, Blair tries to have sex with Nate before knowing anything about Serena. Now, this might seem small, but I think it really does change the dynamic of their sexual encounter. In the show, it feels more like she's trying to solidify her relationship with Nate before he finds out Serena's back. It's a power play, which obviously works as well as bricks as floaties. In the books, she just wants him. Serena coming back isn't a factor. She made them wait till she was ready and now she feels ready. Serena is irrelevant. To her, not to Nate. Nate wanted to have sex with Blair the whole time until Serena comes back and he's like, you know what? Maybe I don't like Blair as much as I thought I did. So he tells Blair the truth about the sex and they break up. This is pretty faithfully adapted to the TV show, to be fair. This is where it differs though. After Nate rejects Serena, as I mentioned before, he thinks she's a hoe, he decides that he actually does love Blair and wins her back. She should have made it more difficult for him, but they're back together by the end of the book. Like I said, Blair, surprisingly forgiving about the betrayal. But yeah, no, it's his decision to go back to Blair and there's no pressure from his dad.
Not in business, or if your family is depending on you.
Honestly, Nate is significantly more interesting in the show. Even in the first episode, showing him feeling trapped in a position that most people would beg to have, fighting against his parents' plan, and questioning what it means to build your own life and your own legacy. In the books, he's just hot and trying to decide between two equally hot girls. In reality, we should just send him to Love Island. But overall, the first book clearly established that those three, Serena, Blair, and Nate, are the big love triangle, with Dan as a guy with binoculars looking from the outside. Great, let's talk about Jenny next. Jenny has perfect big boobs. Okay, please don't cancel me. That isn't me saying it. That's the book saying it. I'm not kidding or exaggerating when I say every single time they mention Jenny, they mention her gorgeous melons. I know exactly 3 things about Jenny. She is Dan's younger sister, she can do calligraphy, and she has 34 double D. She goes shopping for a dress. How will they keep her enormous breasts contained considering her small waist? She's dancing with Chuck. Her massive tits are hitting him in the face every time she moves. Her character feels like it was written by a porn-addicted teenage boy, and honestly, it was kind of weird considering her age. And speaking of porn-addicted teenage boys, Chuck is the fucking worst. This man is trash, and if it was up to me, we would tell him he's on a mission to colonize Mars, but send his rocket to Mercury. I don't think that the showrunners were expecting Chuck to be as popular as he was in the show. I mean, the charisma of Ed Westwick is crazy. I've never watched Gossip Girl past season 2, but even I have to admit he had his moments. I have no idea how he became a fan favorite considering all the fucked up shit he did in the first episode. But alas, here we are. But this is where we remember the first episode is the first book, which means we don't get charming in love with Blair Chuck. No. We get scarf-wearing sexual deviant Chuck. And believe me when I say, he might be worse in the book. And before I explain why, I just want to give a quick trigger warning here. Chuck does not do nice things to women, and if you feel like this will cause you harm or discomfort, please skip to the next chapter. It's not worth it. Okay? I'll put them in the video description below. For those who remain, let's get started. Firstly, he doesn't try and get with Serena in the kitchen, but in his hotel room. Serena goes with him to the hotel room, sure, but she's kind of more like accepting of who he is in the book, or at least she treats it more like banter. She doesn't like him, but there isn't this visual disgust like in the show.
And if you get a drink, they're also serving pigs.
And considering all the rejection she's been facing, she's kind of glad that Chuck is at least treating her the same, even if she doesn't like the way that is. That being said, to be completely clear, he led her there under false pretenses. She did not go up there to have sex with him. It was meant to be a group hang. You gotta remember, these kids are billionaires. This is not a hotel room, this is a suite. They used to hang out at the hotel suite as a group all the time, and he told Serena that more of them would be joining. Let's just wait for them up there. He then proceeds to get her drunk, tries to undress her, kisses her before she pretends she's going to be sick, so he gets off her. And then as he's putting her in the cab, he calls her a whore and gets angry she didn't fuck him. He basically goes all Reddit nice guy on her without ever being that nice. You've been fucking Nate since the 10th grade, and I'm sure you did just about every guy at boarding school, and in France too. What, are you like too good to give me some? When it comes to the Jenny situation, he approaches her and the first thing he mentions is her boobs. They dance for a little bit and she's weirded out by the fact that he never asked for her name. Like, she finds him physically attractive, but she's like, something's wrong here. Then, instead of taking her to the roof, he takes her to the women's bathroom and waits for her outside her stall while she pretends to pee, because she's hiding from him, waiting for her brother to arrive to save her. Now look, I don't know how long it took for Dan to get there, but it must have been a minimum of like 15 minutes. New York is a big city. I might be massively overestimating or underestimating here, but either way, it means he waited for her outside that store for ages. 10 seconds is too long, let alone enough time to watch an episode of Naruto. Dan and Serena walk in with him having broken down the stall door and has her dress half off. I don't know, while both of the versions are predators, just the vision of him on all fours checking which stall she's in, waiting for her in the women's bathroom outside the stall, and then breaking down a door to attack Jenny is just next level horrific to me. I've only read the first book, but I don't see how he could possibly come back from that one. Honestly, even that aside, he's just a douchebag. There isn't one single redeeming fact about him, and no one likes him in the story. He is literally that guy who gets a girl so drunk she can barely stand, takes her home, and then will brag to his friends that he conquered her. Absolutely hate him, from his dumb jokes to his sigil ring. In fact, I'm done talking about him, let's move on. There is one last big detail I wanted to discuss, and that is Gossip Girl herself. Now, spoilers for the identity of Gossip Girl, so if you haven't seen all of it, skip this chapter. In a previous video about Bridgerton, I said I don't think that Penelope is Mrs. Whistledown in the books, and then I was corrected by my comment section. Originally, I'd written in my script that Penelope just isn't Mrs. Whistledown, so I'm really glad I rewrote that to take a softer stance when I realized I hadn't read all the books, they might reveal it later, so I didn't look like a big idiot, just a normal idiot. I'm used to that. This time, I am taking a stand. There is no fucking way that Dan is Gossip Girl. I am living or dying on this hill. I have only read the first book, but to me, Gossip Girl in the books is more like an omniscient god. The series shows that she has eyes and ears everywhere, but she's more like the CIA. She knows a lot, but within reason, especially considering she has the inside Dan scoop. Although, rewatching it with context, Dan is either a weirdo, a masochist, or a narcissist, as he's constantly reading Gossip Girl, which he wrote, and blowing up his own life. Believe it or not, I don't spend my nights re-watching my YouTube videos, because I know what's in it. Either way, the reason I compared it to Bridgerton is that Miss Whistledown felt like it could be a real gossip column, especially with it being Penelope. Gossip Girl feels more like the personification of the writer. She not only talks about the characters, but foreshadows their future. Don't worry about D, his time is coming. I don't know, I feel like there is no explanation of who Gossip Girl could be that would make sense. Not that the Dan thing made much sense either. If I'm being honest, I don't think we need her identity. She's more of a plot device than a character, and I'm happy to leave it there. So yeah, we move on to the conclusion. Overall, after reading the Samurai Turned Pretty books for my last videos, I was not looking forward to this one. I did not like those books for a few reasons, but that's not what this video is about. But honestly, I was pleasantly surprised by this one. It was a pretty good read. I liked the fact that I kept finding myself feeling guilty for Serena before remembering she isn't innocent in this situation. A lot of it is her own making. I also like the fact that it shows gossip as this like infection, ever spreading, ever growing, before people are just believing insane things. Sex cult level. I also was surprised about how little Dan mattered to the story. which is an improvement in my eyes because I never liked his character. All that being said, the show was fairly faithful to the source material. I think out of all of the book versus show videos I've done so far, I'd say this was probably the most faithful adaptation. But then again, it was only episode 1. I will say though, comparing episode 1 and book 1, I feel like the show did a better job of putting characters in a position that made me curious about where their future is going. It was just juicier, and we love juice. But hey, it's only the first book, and there are so many. So if you guys want me to read the second one, just let me know in the comments. And while you're there, you might as well let me know, who is your favorite Gossip Girl ship? And why is it Chuck and Blair? For now, if you are hungry for more of Dan's face, check out my other video. I know it isn't the same character, but I think you'll enjoy learning why Joe Goldberg in the books is my least favorite fictional character of all time. No exaggeration, I don't hate anyone more than I hate him. That video single-handedly made my channel what it is today, and I'm finally releasing a part 2 of it next week. Some of you have been waiting for quite a while, and I appreciate your patience, but it's finally coming. So you don't want to miss out on that juicy content. Plus, it really helps my algorithm, so I will love you forever. On that note, have a great day and see you in the next video.